Fresh and
All right, welcome back to another episode of Fresh and Buds. I'm your host, Tommy Fresh, and you are all of my buds. And today we have a great episode for you all. We are joined by William Nuckolls from the awesome YouTube channel, The Table Pit, where they play a lot of awesome UPF and do some really cool game shows. I got to be a part of one with Gary, aka Mr. Viz. And it is a lot of fun over there. And William and I are going to have a great chat. So before we get to William, though, I do want to shout out to our sponsor, which is you, the patron, which you can find in the show notes. It helps keep the lights on and the mics hot. And it's a great way to support the show and all the crazy things we do. And YouTube, we hit 500 subscribers, over 500. So that means I have to start working on a Leviah cosplay. I don't know where to start, but we're gonna get doing it. I'm hoping to do it get it done by the end of August. I think that's a pretty, decent goal for my first cosplay. A whole month to do it. We'll see. But thank you all for the support. Really love it, and I love all the buds. You're all amazing. Now, also check out Twitter, which is X now, Fresh and Buds on there, Fresh Buds Pod. And you can also find on the YouTube, the Bud Rush Bellow, which I do with Gary, who I mentioned before, on Wednesday evenings, 9:30 live. It's a great, great show. And yeah, we got a ton of other fun stuff going on. And check out the Buds Discord. And thank you, Greg. You're the best. Greg's awesome. Our producer, wonderful, wonderful Greg, the best. And maybe we'll have time for Charmer at the end of the show. We will see. I think today might be the day. So without further ado, let's go to the show. All right, buds. How is everybody doing? We are joined by William Nuckolls of The Table Pit, which is one of the best UPF channels, if not the best UPF channels going on YouTube right now. And I wanted to give UPF some love on the show because I think it's a great format, and I think it's standing to receive a lot of growth in the next year, especially with some news we've heard lately. But I wanted to bring William on to talk. William, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. Had a good day. Doing good.
That's great. This is great. Good days. We love good days. Yeah. I had a great day. And it's only getting better because I'm here on the mics with you, my friend. But
hey,
we got a great show. We're going to get to know William a bit. And then we're going to talk about UPF, as I said. But we also just found out the next set in Flesh and Blood.
Like an hour ago.
Yeah, which has been a whirlwind.
Holy frick.
We're going to touch on it. Obviously we're still a couple months away from it. So there's going to be a lot of talk about this set coming up, but we'll have some initial reactions here, but you'll get to hear it here first on Thursday, which is 3 days after we learned about it, but that's all right.
Yeah.
William, let's talk about you, my friend. First, let's start at the beginning. When did Flesh and Blood or even trading card games come into your life?
So I've been playing trading card games since I've been playing games. So I've been playing trading card games since I was a kid, mostly Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh!
Okay.
When I was a kid. Didn't have Flesh and Blood when I was 7. But when I got older, card games weren't cool. Then I got even older. Card games are cool. Started getting into another weird trading card game. Magic.
Oh, yeah,
that one. Yeah. And
I've heard of it. Indie game, right?
Yeah, something like that. So we were doing a draft at my house, and the co-host on The Table Pit, Ridge, was like, dude, I got this new card game, new to us. We got to play some. And so we played a couple of pre-con blitz games with Monarch pre-con decks. And we ignored Blood Deck because we didn't know what that meant or didn't get it. And it was great. We had a blast. I wasn't immediately sold on it. And then he was like, so there's this thing in Flesh and Blood called Arcane Damage, and it's basically unblockable. And I was like, oh, okay, that's super cool. I'm just going to, that sounds great. That's all I'm going to do. And so I played, we got deep into the game. I played Viserai for a while, realized Runeblade isn't necessarily how I like to play. And so I started playing, I like One Trick Guardian now. Did a 180 right there. But yeah, Ridge sat me down and had me play Blitz Precons.
You know, at this point, it's a tale as old as time. Folks playing the Monarch Blitz decks for the first time, and that's how they learned. A lot of you know, people that are kind of really ingrained into the game now started with those Monarch Blitz decks, and it's kind of funny that it's all coming back around here. We're drafting Monarch for skirmishes, and they're going to draft it for nationals. But it'll be funny at some point. I don't know if we've gotten there yet, William. At some point, we're going to feel old for saying that we started.
I already feel old.
Well, yeah,
okay.
In relation to the game,
yes.
I also feel insanely old. But that we're going to feel old when we say, yeah, you know, I remember playing the Bolton Blitz deck or whatever, and people.
Well, it's going to be someone's going to be like, man, I remember when I first started playing Flesh and Blood, and I played as the professor.
Oh yeah,
and we're going to be like, oh, we're old.
Oh yeah, it's crazy what 2 years could do. Really, I mean, it's insane. But you know, I'm glad that you got into Flesh and Blood, mostly because, well, I get to meet you and you're a cool person. But also, you are making we're buds, and you're making excellent content, right? And you know, obviously, everybody who's listening should check out the Table Pit. But, you know, I wanted to talk a little bit about your journey in that content creation, because it covers, you know, UPF mostly. And then, you know, you've been doing some really cool, like, game shows that I was part of one, which is like a lot of fun. And that's a really awesome genre of content that really also wasn't explored. So I wanted to know what inspired you to hop into this space with mostly UPF, where UPF wasn't at the time as supported as it's starting to be.
Well, to go back to that other game, when I picked up Magic, everyone was playing Commander or Draft. And so I was doing a lot of drafting, because drafting's like one of the best places to play card games, period.
Yep.
And I was starting to get into Commander. And as I was starting to get into Commander, that's when Ridge showed me Flesh and Blood. And I was like, dang, this is super cool. I wonder if they have like a multiplayer format. So we just have all our friends over. We just play Flesh and Blood. And so I went on YouTube. And I typed in, or after I found out about UPF, I went on YouTube and I typed in UPF gameplay. And there was like 20 videos of 10-minute videos where people explain how to play UPF. And I was like, wait, is no one doing this? Does no one play? Is it, these people are really excited about it in their videos where they're talking about the rules. Are people playing this? And so we played a lot of games at, we played a couple of UPF games, and we were like, this isn't bad. Like, we really enjoy this. Maybe we have something here. Like, maybe nobody is just doing this, so we can just pick this up. And so Ridge, kind of like the investor for the channel, put down some money for some cameras and some lights and some mics, and we started recording. And god dang, it's been a whirlwind since then, and it's really fun.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Now, before we get to like gameplay, like, and what it takes to kind of really film that, you mentioned Commander, which, you know, is the biggest, has to be the biggest format in Magic right now, right? Now, something personal about me, we were talking about before the show, and I've mentioned it on the show before, or even on other shows. I played Magic for like 12 years. I hated Commander. Hated it. I would try, I would build a deck, and then I would show up, and then I left, you know, just never having fun. And it's not a slight against people who do enjoy it. It just wasn't for me. So when I heard about UPF, I was, you know, cautious about it, a little wary of it. And we did it at a armory one week, which was like, okay,
That's pretty cool. That's super cool.
Switch it up. And it wasn't even like 4-person. It was like the 6 or 7 people that showed up that day.
Yes.
And we just did something crazy.
Yes.
And I just had my Leviah Blitz deck. So I just, played that. Or actually, no, it was Leviah CC at the time, which we'll get to also. And I had a blast. I was like, This is fun. People immediately targeted me because my deck was just built to just smash, and that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
And but I had a blast. It felt more fast paced. And do you think that's why UPF might grab people that maybe didn't like Commander, or vice versa? Do you think it's the fast pacedness, or what would be your take on that?
I guess, you can have fast-paced Commander games. You can have really slow Flesh and Blood games. But yeah, generally Flesh and Blood, you're churning through 4 cards every turn.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would definitely say it's more fast-paced. It's also just more. And I hesitate to say this because I know people also play Magic the Gathering, but it's Flesh and Blood is just so interactive, where you are just working with the other person on attacking and blocking and instance and everything, and it's just it just keeps you focused on the game, right? Ridge does not like Magic all that much, and he definitely doesn't like Commander at all, actually. He'll play UPF with me all day because with Magic, I'm taking my turn and I'm going to play blue-white, and I'm going to take 30 minutes on my turn because that's fun, and he gets to sit there on his phone the whole time, and I can completely understand that. I have a Commander group that we play Commander with every once in a while, and everyone just kind of understands what everyone wants to do in the game. And I think a large part of, like, if you want to make a UPF community or a UPF like group, kind of like a Commander group, you gotta. It's typically just a bunch of like buds sitting down at a table consistently, and they know what to expect out of each other. And so in a way, I can fully understand why someone would like UPF more. I like them both a lot, but I can also understand why someone might like Commander more. I've heard people talk about how they weren't, especially like more competitive Flesh and Blood players. I know they're like, man, I'm not big on that UPF. I used to play a lot of Commander, but I'm not big on the UPF. And maybe it's just they want the very intense process that can happen in like a really professional level Flesh and Blood game, that you might be joking around and just playing whatever like full generic deck that I bring to the table at a UPF thing, and so it's not as serious maybe.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting when someone really enjoys Commander but not UPF. But I guess my best guess would be that in Commander it's more about doing the big flashy thing. Not to say you can't do that in UPF or Flesh and Blood, but it's at such a much smaller scale. But in relativity to the rest of Flesh and Blood as a game, it feels very big, but it's just not as crazy. Now, that might change when we have 30 sets to pick cards from.
It's also really surprising when it does happen, right?
Yeah.
So like if I flip over Benji and I do nothing for 5 turns and then I kill everyone all at once, some people at the table are going to be a little disappointed because that's not what they're expecting out of Flesh and Blood. But Magic players might be, or Commander players might be like, oh no, I've seen that one before.
Yeah.
We do nothing for 5 turns and then he kills everybody. So I don't know. It's definitely they just play very differently.
Yeah, that's for sure. But I'm glad that they both exist and that folks can like one or the other. But I personally or both. Yeah, one or both or neither. That's okay too, actually.
If you don't like either, I'm not going to force you to play it. Yeah, absolutely.
But different strokes for different folks. But yeah, no, it's an interesting kind of duality of UPF and Commander that I've noticed, which is I thought it was worth bringing up. Now, filming gameplay is tough. I've done it. I've tried doing it. I never really could really bring myself to continue to do it. It's a lot of work. It's something that I don't feel
Yep.
I'm necessarily good at. And you guys are doing it at a great level. And not only just gameplay, it's multiplayer gameplay. Now,
Yeah.
what does it take to do that? And had you had experience doing that prior?
So I guess I'll start with the experience I have from it. So I went to our local community college for art school and dropped out. But I did get to take one intro to film class where we only filmed using our smartphones, and it was a lot of fun. And I did pick up on a lot of things. I got familiarized with like the basics of editing software, but that's it. That's it. I've recorded some like cringy home video level quality stuff, but that was it going into what turned into quite a endeavor with this YouTube channel. So when we started out, we had lapel mics on every person. We have an overhead camera to capture the gameplay, and then two side cameras, one that captures two people and one that captures the other two people on the side of the table. And so when you record about a 1 hour game, and then you have like setup and then like the cooldown, and then you also have like recording intros and outros, you're recording about 2 hours of content on 7 different things. So 14 hours of stuff you need to go through to edit. And so initially, like the first video we did took me like over the course of like 3 weeks, like 60 hours to edit. And that's the first video we posted, because we did like 3 or 4, and we're like, this just doesn't. I don't want to put this on the internet. But we finally found one that we liked, or that wasn't that bad. And yeah, it took me 60 flat hours of editing over the course of several weeks. Gotten that down a lot. Maybe we'll go back to lapel mics in the future if I quit my goddamn job for this. But we got one overhead mic now that's capturing everything. And so that's cutting down on a lot of stuff you have to comb through. And it's taking me now, I've also gotten better at it. You know, you do it a lot, you get better at it. It takes me about 20 to 30 hours to make a video now. So we have about a 2-week turnaround, roughly. Sometimes it's shorter, sometimes it takes longer, but about 2-week turnaround on a video. Just afternoons of editing.
Oh man, it's incredible too, and I got to give you mad props, for actually doing that editing, because that is insane. Now, we have Greg on the show, helps me edit this, because I feel like just like an idiot when it comes to all this stuff. But I did a UPF video with Az from Go Again Gaming,
Yep.
and and understandably, Az is a one man show. It took him a long time to edit.
Yeah.
It was a long game, and it was all online. So there was different videos that he had to mess with and all that. And
he did a lot of like editing stuff to it too.
Oh yeah.
Like a lot of what I'm doing is just splicing, this interaction over the board. And I'm not doing a lot of like flashy 3 floating editing.
Oh,
but like I'm not doing that level of editing, but as went hard on some of those videos. I really like his UPF videos.
Oh yeah, and they're a blast. And it was kind of nice. It took so long to edit that I totally forgot what I did in the game, and it was like it was brand new for me again.
You're like, oh, this is amazing! I get to rewatch it
because something that I did in the game, and he had posted a video like as the teaser was. I think Capolo had played Gorganian Tome, and I had one in my graveyard, and I played Remembrance in response. And
I remember that now.
Yeah,
Holy frick.
That was a lot of fun. And in the moment, I was like, this is crazy. And then I totally forget about it, and I got to relive it, which was kind of fun. But
that's so cool.
But yeah, gameplay, honestly, it's some of the best content out there. You guys do a great job over there. And, obviously Az does a great job as well. And it's very much needed. And I'm almost sure that LSS loves that people are out there doing it, because it really gets to showcase this amazing game. Now, in terms of the game itself, UPF seems to me to be kind of on a different trajectory than just regular old Flesh and Blood is, right?
Yeah.
Flesh and Blood had this giant just growth spurt. We're kind of still riding that wave. There's some other things coming down the pipes that seem to will supplement that along with UPF. Now, UPF, it didn't seem like a lot of cards were being printed with UPF in mind. Now, my issue with Magic was they seem to have printed too much in regular sets that were
So
just for
much.
Commander, you know?
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
don't want that to happen in Flesh and Blood, but I think there are unique ways you can do that. Like, I think the initial thing that Magic did was change the language, right?
Yeah.
And like whether it was, you know, target opponent or each player, whatever, stuff like that.
Yep.
Do you find that there is enough of a craving for UPF, both content and just being able to play it, for Flesh and Blood to focus on growth for that?
No.
Okay. All right.
Or at least not yet. Okay. So I think the main thing is that, you know, when Flesh and Blood first started, you know, you got to get your priorities straight, right? You got to put in stuff for the investors. You got to give reasons for people to invest, and you got to give reasons for people to care, which is mostly going to be create a really solid, the best competitive scene that a card game ever has. And the casual players will pick up all the draft chaff and just be giddy in the corner,
Yeah.
and it's going to be fine. And so you will have to get around to them. And when the game gets big, they're going to be the largest group of people, but they're not the like front runners. They're casuals. They're not going to be wildly invested when the game first starts. So I do think I don't think there's quite that like craving for the content yet, which I think is fine. I think it's kind of expected. But I do also think that like because of the Living Legend system, I think UPF and the Living Legend format will be. I'm talking like, you know, I have high expectations for the game, so I'm talking like 5-7 years down the road. Those will be like some pretty big games because people are going to be like getting into the game and they're going to be like, bro, do you know there was a Prism that just didn't have a title? It was just called Prism.
Yeah.
And so being able to play all these old things and play all these old cards in the Living Legend format and in UPF, I think is going to be very important in the future. But also, you're talking about craving for content. I think the main thing that people are probably craving in content right now is shorts.
Oh yeah.
One thing that Flesh and Blood isn't necessarily doing enough. Well, I don't think anybody's doing it enough. People watch the heck out of shorts, so we've been doing that in the meantime as well.
Yeah. I mean, you know,
have.
I try to pump out a couple shorts a week or and at a minimum. You know, when Alex Norville was on, he said, you know, that's what we want to see, right?
Yeah.
And I get it, right? Because you know, I'm on TikTok way too much. I mean, sure, shorts and TikTok are different, but are similar,
It's
right?
the same thing. It's the same thing.
If you want to watch a short, you're just, you know, scrolling through,
Right there.
and it's just the world we live in. But yeah, I mean, I hope that you're right about, you know, 5-7 years down the road where I think I'll always be a classic constructed simp, but
that's fine.
Living Legend, I'm interested to see where it goes. I think right now I'm good with not playing against Starvo for a hot minute, but you know, I hope UPF gets to the point, you know, where you know we're really, you know, into it. But now there is something on the horizon that seems to be a very positive addition to the game for UPF and casual play in general. Now, we don't know a whole lot about it, but I believe it's called Around the Table. It is the product with the professor, Brian from Tulare Community College. And we know he's a playable character, and then they have some other playable characters. And it seems like it's going to be a box set, right? Like you get 4 decks and like, I don't know about sleeves or anything like that. A play mat.
Four ready-to-made blitz decks with 100 new cards.
Yeah.
a playmat, like an actual playmat, like not like one of those paper playmats you get out of different games boxes, and a 1,000 count storage box.
which is pretty cool. I mean, that's like
That's
a lot
great.
of value. That's a lot of value.
Yeah.
But, that is just the bells and whistles. I think the true meat and potatoes of this product is like we are getting 4 playable decks, bunch of new cards, and the professor's on board. Professor's the biggest card game YouTuber in the world. And, what do you think this is going to do? Is this going to be big enough to bring more people to the game? Or is this just a flash in the pan?
Well, I think so. I think it was well, mainly okay. So like the way some people phrase the question is like when I talk about UPF is how do we get more Flesh and Blood players to play UPF? And I think that's just wrong. I think the Flesh and Blood players that are playing UPF are playing UPF. The players that aren't playing UPF don't know about the game yet. So I think this product is absolutely amazing as like a starting product, or at least, from the small hints we've been giving about it. It's going to be amazing, specifically made for new players, but it's like also just set up where it's 4 precons in the box. That's just asking for people to play UPF, and that's why I'm so giddy about this. I don't know how this could be a flash in the pan. This is going to be great.
Yeah, it seems, I think it really is going to really depend on retailers getting on board, I think here, because that's the biggest thing, right?
Yeah.
You don't want it to just be hidden on a shelf. You want it to be front and center, displayed, and, have like appropriate signage. So people are like, what's this? I know the professor, what's going on here? What's this game? And then like they buy it and maybe they're going to play it wrong. Right? They're going to play it wrong. They're casual players. And then they'll learn the game and then hopefully fall in love with it like we all did. And the fact that they're printing a lot of new cards for it. Now, I don't know the legality of those cards. So there's, if it's going to be legal and everything, you got to be a little careful.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
But if we have like different borders on it or something like that or whatever, maybe we can avoid that. I hope you're right. I hope it is as big as it's set up to be. And, the power of the professor is not to be dismissed because he made what I will say, this is totally anecdotal. He makes a video, mentions Flesh and Blood. Some new player shows up at Armory.
Some hundreds of new players.
Show up. At my Armory. Like
at your Armory. Oh, you mean just at yours?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
I always notice. I'm like, oh, we got a new player, and then I think back. Professor did a video this week. I was like, it's crazy. That's like.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. He's gonna shill this product. It's got his face on it, and it's gonna do great. There's no way this doesn't do amazing. Not just for enfranchised players, but for like new players, this is amazing. I'm gonna probably be convincing part of my extended family to also look into this because this is just this is the best so far that I've seen product to get somebody who's never played a trading card game into a trading card game that I've seen for Flesh and Blood, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I got into playing the game from playing Blitz precons, as we talked about. So, I mean, it just seems perfect. This is great.
Yeah, and you mentioned the new generations. My first time playing was with the professor, and we were like, "What? Get off my lawn!" We didn't even know what blood debt was.
They're gonna be like, I started on Bard, and we're gonna be like, what the frick? That wasn't a class when we started.
Yeah, they just made some stupid Bard for the Pro Tour. Oh man, it's gonna be awesome though. I'm super excited, and the price point I believe sounds to be pretty good as well for the amount.
This
of
says
getting.
A solid $69.
Ooh, very nice. Nice. Which is I think an insane price point. 4 decks, container, playmat, and hours and hours of fun.
They're 40 card decks, so yeah, absolutely. No, that's amazing price.
Yeah, no, it's excellent. It's excellent. So very exciting. Now, William, my friend, it's come to the time where we do the fresh faves, where I ask you some of your favorite cards in the game, and hopefully you answer them. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Yes, all right. At ease, soldier. All right, William. Who is your favorite hero?
My favorite hero right now. Okay, my favorite hero when playing the game. My favorite playing hero is gotta be Bravo.
Okay.
I've I live on a moderate budget, and so I only have the funds to invest in a single class at a time. So I am a Guardian 1 trick, and specifically, Bravo is it. He's great. He's the whole guard as the first Guardian. He's the whole Guardian package: defensive, on hits, big attacks, and a nice Guardian weapon. Bravo, amazing. Cosmetically, like there's a lot of people who play Flesh and Blood where they're like, I really got into the game because I saw Dash and she looked amazing or something like that. I haven't really been sold on a hero yet cosmetically. Like I looked at the hero and I'm like, man, I really want to play that. But maybe because we were just talking about how a set just kind of got leaked or not leaked, spoiled earlier. That new guy, Tekla Vossen.
Yeah.
Dude, that guy looks cool. That guy looks super cool. I don't know.
I want to be him when I grow
him.
up. Yeah, and we'll get to that. And yeah, he looks very, very cool. And
yep.
And I'll also talk about, steampunk. Does it belong in Wraith? Who knows? We'll get really controversial.
That's an interesting question.
I have my thoughts. Now, what's your favorite weapon?
My favorite weapon is Dread Scythe.
Ooh,
it's like Rosetta Thorn, but fair. I also feel really good when I play a weapon and I can put exactly a whole heckin' pitch of a card, like a whole heckin' blue in the pitch zone to swing the weapon. That just makes me feel good. Anathos, Titan's Fist, Winter's Wail, but Dread Scythe, that hits on 2 angles. It's still 4 damage for 3 pitch, just one of it's arcane, and if any of it hits, they can't heal on the next turn. It's not nothing. Yeah. But yeah, Dread Scythe, that card's cool.
Yeah, just wait. When the clerics get printed, that card's going to be insane. Actually, it might be good now. Like we saw.
It's not a bad pick, especially in UPF. Honestly,
we saw Pablo Pintor, former guest of the show last week, over the weekend get top 2 at Birmingham with Bravo, which I think was running 3 sigils, which, last life gain, there you go. All right. What's your favorite equipment?
Favorite equipment has got to be Skullcap, but it's got to be Skullcap right now, right? Okay. So it blocks physical. It blocks arcane. That's all you want. That's it. It's the whole package, but it's like $50 right now. When I got into the game, that card was up.
Way too expensive.
$50 right now. That's the price of a legendary. I don't want to think about spending triple digits on a legendary. I don't have the funds for that. So Skullcap, yeah, absolutely. It's everything at a budget.
Oh yeah. And people forget about it sometimes. They really do.
It's good. It's good.
Then they sit across the table and they're like, oh, they're gonna block 3 on me, and I forgot how to do the math to make myself go lower than them.
Yeah. They're gonna all these new players coming in, and they're not gonna know how to keep their life total at a reasonable level.
Yeah, a great answer. Now, what's your favorite run of the mill card? Cards you put in your deck: non-attack actions, attack actions, instants.
I feel like my local community would probably think that I would say Red Steadfast, because I put that in my Guardian decks, period, because I'm gonna be prepared for everything. I'm not gonna take the off chance of a Kano or an Icelander. I want to be able to, at instant speed, prevent 6 anything. And it's fine. Pay 3 for 6 is not an awful rate for a instant or defense reaction. But my favorite card to put in a deck, specifically in UPF, my favorite card to put in a deck is a blue Fiondel's Fighting Spirit.
Oh,
Pitch is 3.
yes.
Blocks essentially 3. Sometimes it blocks 2 and it heals you. Like you are covering a 5, so you block 3 and then you block 2 and you heal.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming in for 5 at a blue. It's got everything. Actually 6, because you're going to heal yourself when you play it anyways. So it's just blue Fiondel's Fighting Spirit. That's the best card the game's ever printed.
Oh, wow. Okay. I would have thought maybe the yellow since it pops, but
says the casual UPF player, but yes.
You know, hey, we'll take it. Hey, those are some great answers. I've definitely never heard blue Fiondel's Fighting Spirit on that segment, but you know, now there's a first for everything. So, now you mentioned it before. We saw the new, IGN, I guess, spoiled it, right? Which is huge. IGN is a huge publication site, which I think they've posted some Flesh and Blood stuff before, but
they did for Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah. Which is this is huge. So we are getting the Metrics set. This is Bright Lights, which cool name. So a little bit more lighter in tone than we've been getting recently, which is cool. You know, it doesn't seem like we're going to have any kind of Emperor.
Bright lights.
Yeah, we're not getting the Emperor getting murdered. We're not getting we're not getting a Riptide existing, and we're not getting an all-out war. Doesn't seem like it anyway. But
I'm looking at one of the cards right now.
Looks like they're getting ready for war. So this is the Metric set. Now, what we know about it is, it looks like it's going to be all metrics, all mech cards, which is pretty cool. So I think it was 3 heroes, or 3 or 4. I'm sorry. I just got home before we recorded, and now I'm looking at it for the first time. It is. Oh wait, let me look at the product sheet here. That'll probably help us.
That would be a good place to look.
That would help us. All right. So, Metric City, the bustling metropolis where ambition meets innovation, where the future of Wraith is reinvented daily in the research centers of mighty conglomerates. Wannabe heroes flock to the bright lights of this big city, blinded by the neon signs flashing slogans that you too can become more than human. Bright Lights takes Flesh and Blood gameplay to new frontiers of innovation with the first ever equipment that start the game in your deck. Transform those base equipment into state-of-the-art Evo equipment. That's a new thing. And this all mechanologist set offers a limited experience like no other. Countless card combinations open up a vast array of booster draft archetypes. And the official Bright Lights sealed deck format is bring 4 booster packs, which is pretty interesting. But I guess it makes the most sense. 251 cards in the set. I'm not seeing anything about heroes, but we've seen.
I don't see a number of heroes, but
so I would guess 3 or 4. Based on what we've seen, but that's pretty,
2 minimum.
2 minimum. We've seen 2 of them. So looks like we're getting a new Dash.
Yeah,
in some form or another. There is art for Dash.
Dash.io.
And
I think they said that somewhere.
And
the name of the art, Dash.io.
Which who knows what? I imagine some more item stuff, and then we get Teklu Vasan, esteemed magnate who you referred to, who is a suave-looking fella. I will say,
dude, he looks good.
Yeah, especially the adult version, 4 intellect, 40 health. And comes in Majestic at the adult version here. But you may play Evos from your Banished Zone. So those special equipment pieces. And then has once per turn instant, pay 3 resources. You may play your next Evo this turn as though it were an instant when you do draw a card. Okay, Mechanologist Kano right here. This is very interesting. And then we saw like some other cards. We won't go into them, but we saw some the Evo cards care about switching base equipment into the Evo. So you have to play these base equipment.
You start with these base equipment, and then you have other equipment in your deck that you can play. That's insane.
Yeah, this is totally new. This is crazy. Now, all right, William. What are your initial thoughts here? How excited are you? Is this something that really tickles your fancy?
The best way to play, I'm going back. The best way to play Magic the Gathering is frick, I forgot what it's called. There's a specific draft set that you can buy where you buy 3 any booster packs
Mm-hmm.
and you shuffle them together. And that's your deck. No, you buy 2. You buy 2 booster packs, and they're like extra. They're like plus size booster packs, and you shuffle them together, and you have a 40 card deck or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
This says very specifically it is this set. It's a 251 card set that's designed for booster draft, sealed, constructed play, and 3-pack or 4-pack sealed.
Yep.
And they talk very specifically about how it introduces 3-pack casual play where you just open 3 packs, take out the tokens, and shuffle them all together, and you have your deck. That's amazing. That's
awesome.
So good. Yeah, absolutely. As a player on a budget, that is great because I'm not, as a person on a budget, I don't crack a lot of packs. I don't crack a lot of boxes. I'm gonna buy my singles, as everyone should. But I can maybe get around it in my head if I get to just literally play a game with those 3 packs that you just opened. Like that is so exciting for me. Spoilers, absolutely. There's going to be a UPF gameplay video where we're just going to have each 3 packs and just play UPF, and that's going to be
that'd be
amazing.
awesome. Yeah,
yeah,
that'd be really neat. Now, this is really interesting. It's like it's a great way that, especially this crack shuffle play 3-pack casual format, is very, very positive. I don't think they can do this with every set, obviously. This seems only when they do mono hero stuff.
Yeah.
And that is a cool way to basically, like, alongside the Professor product and this seems like teach people the game. Like, keep your booster box, right? You bought a case and you already opened the legendary from it. Keep the extra booster box when someone comes over. Like, hey, here's 3 packs. Here's 3 packs, and then shuffle them up. And I'm going to teach you how to play this game.
Yeah,
and
if you get that perfect pack 1 that has the key Marvel legendary in it, you just save the rest of the case. You don't need to open it right now. You can open that later when you're playing.
Yeah. So this is very exciting. So. Now let's talk about, I'm going to talk about the, not negatives, but something that I'm very toeing the line here, right? So I've mentioned before, steampunk's not my thing, right? I am not into the technology stuff, especially in a fantasy world. Really, I can accept it, and I've accepted it for Wraith, but now that we're actually getting the metric set, and
are quitting Flesh and Blood.
I'm quitting. And this is the last episode of Fresh and Buds. No, and I am hoping now. We do the lore episode with Kale from Dead Summer Art every set.
Yes,
I am hoping that we get lore that really explains how metrics can exist in this world, where I'm looking at brute cards who are wearing skulls on their head. And they have names like Numbskull, right? Like, I need to know why metrics is the way it is, and it's not really affecting the rest of Wraith the way you would hope. So that lore might already exist, but I'm gonna hope Kale tells me about it. But right now, I'm really hoping this is where we really flesh out the reasons why here.
Because you kind of would think that the way, because in a big bustling city full of fancy technology implies advanced levels of communication, which in a city of what seems to be like progress, I don't see why they wouldn't want to spread that to other people.
Yeah,
like maybe that's like the lore tie-in is they're like, yeah, this is our stuff. Yeah, we don't want to share this information with other people, but I don't know what direction they're going to take the lore. But I don't know. I'm also really excited for the inevitable future of the mechanologist brute.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready. I mean,
Yeah.
that's something I'm into now. You might be onto something where they are more of a selfish society. I mean, I think maybe the pits existing underneath metrics is a good indicator of that. And and then you see some kind of metrics technology down there. So they are scavenging it, but why aren't they just allowed up there is the real question.
It's interesting.
Yeah, so I mean, Riptide did blow up the huge bridge, so maybe they just can't go there. But
True.
but yeah, it'll be all interesting. I really hope that this is the set, and I'm hopeful that it will be the things like, all right, Tommy, you like steampunk and stuff like that. You like it. Come on, man. And so I'm hoping that that's what happens here. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for all the mech players out there that they've been hungry for some more mech heroes, and Daddy Teklo Vasen is definitely.
We've had one mechanologist draft set.
Mm-hmm.
And then we had one supplemental set with another mechanologist hero. And that's it so far.
And then we've had mech.
I mean, we've had supplemental support, but you get supplemental support, and people are still complaining. Yeah, but there wasn't a ninja in Outsiders. No, not Outsiders. There wasn't a. there wasn't a brute in Outsiders. I don't know, and so the supplemental stuff does help and is super cool for small little things, adding new archetypes and stuff like that. But having another draftable set for mechanologists will definitely be nice.
Oh yeah, and I hope it really is a knockout set. Now, one other thing worth noting before we move into some more UPF talk is that it's going to have a special supplemental expansion slot in the booster pack. So those will include Tunic. Tunic's one of them. We know that Tunic is one of them, but they'll include cards that are will support random heroes or will be important reprints. Obviously, Tunic covers that. And hopefully, I don't know really. I didn't look into the pull rates on anything. I don't think if we even really know yet. But that is neat. A very unique way to reprint things like Tunic, which I think we can all agree definitely needed the reprint. So very interesting.
Big fan of reprints. Yes.
Yes.
So the expansion slot is going to be in roughly 1 in 15 booster packs.
Okay.
Which I think that's like a cold foil pull, right?
Yeah.
Like an old cold foil pull. And so in that will either be a expansion slot card or premium foil, including extended art legendary cold foil.
Okay.
And that's going to take the place of a token, kind of like in Uprising. So when you're drafting, if you get a cold foil, I assume that's not in your draft.
Yeah,
pile.
you set it aside, and
yeah.
I don't think you could play it in. Well, you might be able to play it in sealed.
I might. We'll find
but it
out,
might be tough. Some of it's just not going to be mechanologist stuff. So we'll see.
You get the sick new brute legendary, and you're like, shoot.
Yeah, I want to play Scabskins and Dash so bad.
That's it. Yes, absolutely.
But no, all very interesting. We're going to get more information on Bright Lights as it gets closer. It looks like it's released in October, which is very soon. Sooner than I thought, but they got to release it before World so that people can draft it at World. So it should be very, very cool. Now, let's get back to UPF, William. You're an expert, UPF. You're the number one authority on UPF.
I guess so.
As I said before, I think we know that LSS is starting to really care about UPF and change language and cards, yada, yada, yada. Currently, though, right now it's still July, but it will be August when people are listening to this. Before Professor Set comes out, what do you think the state of the game is right now? Oh, the format. I shouldn't say the game.
State of the format.
Yeah.
So from a playing perspective, like a balance perspective, I guess, is that what you're trying to ask?
Yeah, balance, or even just people playing it. How do you is it being received well? I mean, you would know, right? You see your comment section.
Well, true.
Yeah.
So I generally, there's really only been, I can only think of one person that's played UPF and was like, I can't do it, man. I can't play this anymore. Like everyone who plays the game is really enjoying it. We talked about how, I don't remember if this was before or earlier, but we talked about how I live in an area, or I live really close to the Roanoke testing team, which will include people like Mara Ferris and Kevin Smurf Murphy and Tim Scroggs. And those people are really, really good at Flesh and Blood.
Mm-hmm.
And I get them to sit down on our channel or just in person playing UPF, and they're still having a blast. Like these are like real competitive grinders that they're having a really good time playing this game. And granted, I think it's, we talked about earlier about some people like it and some people don't, but like it's generally really well received from what I've noticed. Like people really seem to enjoy the game. From more of like a balance standpoint, UPF itself, naturally, UPF like Commander is kind of self-regulating, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I sit down to the table and I have the scariest hero, let's say I put Benji down on the table and no one wants to play that, or maybe it's 3 Guardians and I lay down Prism, the game naturally sorts these problems out on its own, being the fact that just at the end of the day, you are one person with 4 cards in your hand, unless you're dead at all, and you're playing up against another 12 cards if you want to look at it that way, right? So you can't look at it that way. You can't try to 1v3 everything. And so problem heroes don't really exist. It's more of how the politics of the table, because you'll all sit down and it'll be 1v1v1v1, and then after the first turn it's 1v2v1, and then it's 1v2v1, but it's a different 2v1, and then on the next turn it's 2v2, and then on the next turn it's 3v1, and then that guy's dead. And so like the way the politics shift around the table, it naturally, whoever is accruing the biggest advantage or has the most legendaries and majestics, or whatever, has the busted hero, those problems kind of sort themselves out if everyone at the table is going to agree to be a little more political, try to play a game where you're negotiating things and trying to get value out of things. Like but I would say there are some heroes, like they have UPF events at big tournaments. I've won one at Baltimore, and I will say there are certain heroes that do give you a little bit more of advantage than others.
Mm-hmm.
Taylor specifically might be the most busted thing in Flesh and Blood. Having like an extra, I'm sorry to Matt McInnes for giving away his secrets. Having an extra, basically, I don't know, like 50 health through armor. Just the fact that you can churn through all this armor. It's not 50, but you can just have so much block value as Taylor, in the fact that she can replace armor before it's completely destroyed, like all the battle worn armor, and you get 3 block out of it and then swap it out for another one. Mm-hmm. Or you have Carrion Husk or whatever. And another hero in a similar vein is Yoji. Yoji heals a lot. He starts at 22 life. He's very defensive. And if you can politic the game really well, you can get to that in-game state that Guardians really like. I brought Reinhardt to Baltimore and did really well because I played kind of like a Guardian, but I have Reckless Swing.
Yeah.
I have Reckless Swing, and I have Barraging Beatdown Alpha Rampage if I need it. So like if there is a problem, I can deal with it. But most of the time, what I was doing when I was playing, and what you'll notice people who've played a lot of UPF and are trying to like really focus on winning, is they'll be like, I have a full hand. You gave me a full hand. It got back around to my turn. I have 4 cards in my hand. I think I'm just going to pitch and swing the club and pass turn, because you don't want to be a threat. Mm-hmm. You also don't want to be at the highest life total, because that makes you look like a threat.
Yep.
And you just play it slowly until the end of the game. Oh, I had a Reckless Swing in Arsenal for the last 4 turns. Yeah. So the game is generally self-regulating. There are some heroes that are a little oppressive. I don't know. So the game's so small. There's not really like a competitive UPF
Yeah.
like format or tier list or thought process like that at all. But there are some heroes that are slightly better if you play them in a very specific way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And
Yeah.
I can imagine, and then anytime there's an event, the people bring the stuff that you want to win with,
Yeah, they
right?
bring the stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So, it's just naturally happens. But, like you said, it's self-regulating. Now, are there any changes you like to be made? At least, from LSS just saying something, right? Like, sure, you can do house rules and all that, but is there any changes you'd like LSS to kind of throw out there?
So a change that we have actually been doing on the show. We've been playing 4-person UPF. The official rules state that UPF is designed for 5 to 7 people, roughly. You could have more. You go crazy with it. Have just a bunch of people. But it's generally designed for 5+ people. And that's because it has a system which works really well in Flesh and Blood, more so than like Commander would, where you can only attack and target to your right and left.
Mm-hmm.
And this keeps everything, kind of flowing in a really nice state. And it almost kind of feels like you're only attacking one person and you're only getting attacked from one person.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes if you're being a nightmare, you're going to be attacked from 2 directions.
Yeah.
So it's still self-regulating in that way. But on YouTube, how am I supposed to fit 5 people on the screen?
Yeah.
Right? And so when we're making the YouTube video, we were like, man, it would just look so much nicer if there was 4 people. We should just do 4 people. And when we started the table pit, it was just 4 people. It was me, my wife Rachel, Ridge, and Amy. We're the 4 of us. We were the table pit. We've since had Hoodwill also join us. If you know Hoodwill, yeah,
Oh,
he's super cool. But so having 4 people just makes for better videos. But the problem with 4 people is if you can only attack and target to your right and left and you have 4 people, what ends up happening is one person starts accruing kind of a larger advantage than everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be natural anyways, but when they start accruing this like natural advantage of value or whatever, they can really put the pressure on the 2 people beside them. And it's like the person who's like in first, quote unquote, is not being pressured by the people beside them. The person on the opposite side of the table with them in 4 people isn't able to do anything about it, and so they naturally accrue like value because the people beside them are not doing anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or aren't able to do anything because they're getting beat down by the player in first. But I don't know if I'm explaining it very well over video, but basically the idea is like one person gets out of control and nobody can stop them, and the one person that can't reach them.
Yeah.
Just can't reach them. And it's not necessarily a problem with 5 people or more, but with 4 people, that can be a problem really fast and then just snowball the game out of control. And so by the time it gets down to only 2 people left, instead of it being like maybe both players are at 7 health, one player just got himself up to 23 and the other one's at 5. And so the change that we have been doing on the channel with 4 people is you can attack and target anyone. That way it just nullifies that completely. But we also have to all have a pregame conversation of, okay, now that we can all attack everybody, don't everyone just dogpile Ridge, or don't everyone just kill William on turn 1.
Yeah.
We all want to play the game a little bit. And it's also more beneficial if we decide to actually focus on whatever the threat is at the table, not whoever is in quote unquote last place. So as long as everyone kind of agrees to the rule of don't be a dick, we've been attacking and targeting everyone, and it's turned out absolutely great. The only other change I'd like to see is Ridge is a judge. I really like looking at the rules sometimes. It'd be great if there was more consistent, or it'd be great if there was like a multiplayer section
Mm-hmm.
in the comprehensive rules. And I can maybe understand why they might not do that, because I don't think there is a section on CC and Blitz, or specifically like there's not like format sections.
Mm-hmm.
But having been to an event where they played UPF and having heard about people who went to events to play UPF, not having a section specifically for multiplayer rules is a little difficult for some of the judges. Not all of them. Like some of them, like really like know some of the like nitty gritty details about specific interactions when there's multiple people at the table like that. But sometimes it's kind of hard for everyone to understand what's going on, and just having a multiplayer section in the comprehensive rules might be nice. I have been working on writing up, and I'm not a judge, and I'm not a game designer, but I have been writing up what I feel like the multiplayer rules might look like in Flesh and Blood,
That's very
and
cool.
have been after this video, not after this, not right after this, but like over this week, actually, I was going to start showing them to judges and being like, hey, does this wording seem consistent or whatever? Just because I think, especially as the game moves forward, maybe should have more attention to detail on the rules for specific formats and stuff like that. Even if UPF is a little more fringe than CC or something like that.
Yeah, it's worth looking into, especially if they are having events, right? You know, it just makes sense. So
You want a consistent feel every time you go to a UPF event.
yeah, you don't want one judge saying, yeah, it's fine, and then another one's like, no, don't do that, or whatever. You always want the same answer, which is it's smart, and you know, kudos for you for taking the initiative there. Now,
well, we'll see how it goes.
yeah, well,
we'll see how it goes.
You know, I haven't seen anyone, so I don't know. No, I'm not endorsing it. No, I'm sure it's awesome.
Yeah, true.
Now,
we'll see.
Here's a question I want to ask you. So, you know, the Blitz versus CC, or the 40 card deck versus 60 card deck thing. So they had come out, I forget exactly when, might have been a year ago, when they were like,
it was Fab 2.0.
Yeah. UPF is bring your Blitz deck and just play, which I understand makes a lot of sense, right? People usually have a Blitz deck on them. And if like somebody's like, we're playing UPF, and you're like, I don't have a deck. You're like, no, it's all good. Use your Blitz deck. Now, I've found in UPF that sometimes the 40 cards can kind of eliminate some strategies, right? Where you're using a lot of cards, and you just fatigue yourself out really quickly. Like even something like I built like a Bolton deck with library, right? And
and you just have so much.
You're drawing
so big of a brain with all that intellect.
Yeah, but you're drawing so much more, and like all of a sudden you're like, well, I got like maybe 2 turns of fun out of this library, and now it's over. And I don't know. It seems like to me, not only does the Blitz kind of 40 card deck thing lead to that, but it also leads to you can't really throw a lot of stuff into the deck that could prepare for any kind of situation. Now, I understand you can't always
throw in like the one-ofs or whatever, or not as many of them.
Yeah, exactly. So like I personally would like to see it move eventually. Now, right now, UPF's still in a very infant stage, but move eventually to, no, you're just going to have your UPF deck and it's going to be 60 cards or whatever, right? Or even 50 cards, whatever. It could be just different from Blitz and CC. And that's where I fall in it, but I was wondering where you fall on that kind of idea.
So I guess I've talked about how I really think just getting more people into UPF probably just means getting more people into Flesh and Blood, and having it be more casual, friendly, more just I bought something off the shelf and I could play it is better, right? And I think you and me are probably a little biased because I've played some games of UPF with 60 card decks, and I kind of love it.
Yeah.
Right? I play Guardians. I kind of love it. And so I can see, and CC might be the better way to play the game. But since UPF is so casual, I think me and you are like a little biased because the way I, considering we're on this podcast, we have our own YouTube channels, we're invested into this game. There's a series that the professor does called Tellurian Tutor, where he refers to what I would argue people like me and you as intermediates. We're not expecting to win the Pro Tour, but we have definitely been around the block and we know a lot about the game.
Yeah.
And we're not the new players coming into the game. And I feel like, so like my wife, she plays Flesh and Blood, but she plays about every other week. She might play a game. She has a deck. She's got a Levia deck, her favorite hero, right?
Hell yeah.
And she plays about once every other week or so, right? She doesn't play a whole lot. And so I feel like when it comes to getting people into playing the game more, because I think that's what it mostly needs, but also just like, you finish the armory up early and then you decide everyone should just play a game of UPF. Sometimes just being able to pick up a game is better than having a better deck quality to the game. Like, it's almost like things I kind of think that when it comes to the way those rules are worded, it's more of a things outside of the game than inside of the game.
Yeah.
Because I think me and you would probably enjoy a 60 card game of UPF more. And I have 3 UPF decks, and one of them is 60 cards. So
yeah, well, you bring up a good point, right? Like, the convenience of it makes so much sense, right? Like, you go to a corner convenience store, bodega or whatever, and bread is going to be $2 more. Why would you pay for that?
Yeah.
Well, it's convenient and it's right there, and that's exactly it. So that's a great point, actually, and you're right, but I do expect to win the Pro Tour, just so you know. No,
right.
no, we are not the same, William. I am definitely winning. I'm definitely next year.
Hey, when I won the UPF event at Baltimore, I was one of the few people to walk away with a gold foil. So.
Okay, all right, relax, take it easy. All right, some quick questions here. We don't have to go into too much depth because we got some great listener questions here, but Dusk Till Dawn, not your typical supplemental set in the traditional sense that we
not your mom and dad's supplemental set.
Yeah, not your mom and dad's supplemental set. Do you think that, outside of just Levia, Finset, Prism, Bolton just getting like a ton of stuff, do you think there was anything else like in the generic slots that have been great additions for UPF?
Diplomacy. Warmonger's Diplomacy.
Yeah.
It is not just an absolute staple in CC, but when Ridge looked at it, he was like, as soon as he saw it, he was like messaging me, and he was like, "Dude, what the frick is this?" Because it's so much fun. It'll affect the entire table. Everyone gets to pick sides, and then also there's like a bit of a voting aspect to it. So it's like I pick peace, you pick war. Ridge picks peace, and then Ridge and I are like, "Heck yeah, we both pick peace. We're gonna gang up on the war guys or whatever." I don't know. Like it's so much fun when you can just add that little extra layer into the game. And it's going to be a sick card for CC too. That card's going to be a staple everywhere.
Yeah. Mentioned it
another thing.
Sorry. I just wanted to say before Warmongers, yes. I mentioned it on the Blood Rush Bella last week. I did get that wrong on the set review. I didn't realize how good it was. So
that card's pretty scary to some people.
Yeah.
Rugged Roller was printed.
Yeah,
they were like, KO does technically have his own signature weapon in the form of Mandible Claws, but have you ever seen him wear them?
Yeah.
Like, and even if you do see him wear them, like that's not what he's focused on. No. But Rugged Roller, you roll a 6, you get to pay 1 to swing 6 with your weapon. That's just straight stonks, right? If you're rolling 6s, you're rolling even higher, which is what you're going for.
Yeah. Love that card.
Yeah, and then also they printed a Prism that sucks. So you can bring Prism to UPF and everyone doesn't dogpile you immediately.
There you go.
That's also very exciting.
That's very nice. Thank you for doing that, LSS. That was very nice. Now, are there some UPF heroes you think folks are sleeping on? Or people are in the know?
And then no. Well, generally, I think I said UPF is pretty self-regulating, and so the game will keep down the oppressive stuff, right? If you bring Viscerai with Bloodsheath Scalata, which is completely legal in UPF, everything is legal in UPF, or if you bring Briar with Ball Lightning, that's super cool. You're probably not going to win that game because you got 12 other cards around the table that are going to make sure you don't have a second turn. If you go like turn, I don't care, 2, and you go sting, ball lightning, ball lightning, ball lightning, everyone's gonna stop what they're doing and kill you.
Yeah, not anymore.
Not anymore. I still think playing a nice, slow, steady game where you keep yourself under the radar but have a way to kill someone out of nowhere is the best way to play UPF, right?
Mm-hmm.
In Commander, they say try to play for second place, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're in first place, you're the scariest person at the board. If you play for second place, you might be able to turn the tables and kill that first place person at the last second.
Yeah.
So Rhinar, I think, is absolutely perfect at that. But also, unsung hero in UPF is whoever is at the lowest life total. Ridge does this all the time. It is turn 2. We're just tossing around damage, blocking, having fun. You throw, I don't know, a crippling crush at Ridge, and he goes, I don't really feel like blocking that. And then he just goes, and then you pummel it, and then he goes down to like 5, and then no one wants to hit him anymore. He's at 5. The rest of us are at 20. No one wants to touch him, and then he ends up winning the entire game, right? So that's who I'm That's who I think people are sleeping on, is the people who just tank their life total at the beginning of the game.
That's the lame puppy you know, kind of strategy. Oh man, I love that. All right, well, you heard it here first, folks. You go down to the lowest life total, and then
UPF. You could play anything in UPF, and I think you'll be fine. Like it's mostly about the politics and just playing with other people.
Yeah,
just hanging out and having a good time
with your buds. Speaking of the buds, these listener questions come from the Buds Discord, which is the greatest place to hang out in all of the internet, and the link is in the link tree below. The first one comes from Amar Ferris, who asked this is a big question. If you had to assign each hero a condiment, what would it be?
Let me pull up the list of heroes.
Fire them off for me, William.
Holy frick. I actually didn't. So I prepped a little bit for some of these, but I did not prep for this one.
That's okay.
Holy frick.
Maybe we could do classes instead of
classes. All right. Okay. So, all right. Assassin. That's the first thing to come up. Assassin. Sauce. I'm going to just say, I'm not going to explain myself either. I'm just going to say condiment. I'm going to say soy sauce. Okay. Ranger. I'm going to say Ranger. They're like one of those people that like mustard, and then they're elitist on people who don't like mustard. It's like, you don't want mustard on that? What do you mean? Okay. And so ninja, no condiment. Clearly no condiment. Warrior, ketchup. No. Yeah, ketchup. Yeah, ketchup.
Okay.
Guardian, I don't know, horseradish. Yeah, that sounds good. Like a hearty.
Yeah.
No, blue cheese. Yeah, like a blue cheese topping. Yeah,
let's go.
Roomblade. Roomblade. Pass. Mechanologist. Motor oil. Illusionist. They told you they put some on there. They didn't. Merchant. Just put everything on it. Just a little bit of each. Wizard. Wizard. I'm just gonna say they don't eat.
Plain.
Plain. They order a burger, but they ask for no meat or toppings. It's just bun.
Just bun.
It's just bun. Brute, blood. Shapeshifter. It doesn't matter. Adjudicator. Each one has their own opinion, and it's all really strong and very different. And Taylor is fine. They'll take anything. And then I'll go back around to I'll go back around to Runeblade and let's say, I haven't said what's that interesting topping that Australians like to put on their food?
Vegemite.
Vegemite. Yeah, let's just sure. That sounds good.
Whatever that is.
I'm not explaining any of that either.
That's all right. Next question comes from Salty Sea Cat, who asks, "Are you going to ripple shuffle that CC deck?"
I saw this and I was like, shoot, is this a reference to something I need to remember? I don't remember what this is.
I don't remember that either.
I don't either. Okay, but so my CC deck, actually, no. Because I'm a Guardian one trick and I'm on a budget, I can't afford to ripple shuffle my cards. What if I need a new one and I have to go to a tournament or something? I need to keep my deck in a kind of a nice state. Any other format, those cards, I'm going to just chuck them into the air and then pick them up individually. Like I'll ripple shuffle them so hard. Any other format. My UPF decks, my favorite UPF deck is just completely unsleeved. And yeah, I'm ripple shuffling everything else. Draft, commoner, UPF. Yes, absolutely. Clash.
Oh yeah. Oh, Clash. Hey, shout out to Clash.
Clash is great, by the way.
Yeah, it really is. I had a lot of fun playing Clash. Now, the next question comes from Sigma, and you kind of answered this. And do brutes have a seat at the UPF table, and how strong are they? Sounds like they do, and sounds like they are. Dude,
I wouldn't be surprised if they maybe knew my answers ahead of time, but couldn't like a controlling like a late game brute. That is, in my personal opinion. This is not necessarily shared amongst all of the better UPF players I know, but I think a controlling brute deck is the best deck in UPF, period. Like just a slow grind Rhinar or something. Also, KO. Maybe just the most fun hero.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Rolling.
Like, so it's both axes. Brutes absolutely have. They're probably running the UPF table, right? Like if in the world of Wraith there was a class probably playing UPF, it's probably Brute.
Yeah, ultimate pit fight. They're in pits already.
Yeah. They're like you've seen the Brutes that were like in Aria for Everfest in all those events and stuff like that, like High Roller and the hog riding. Dude, they're playing at the UPF tables, I tell you.
Oh yeah, and that kind of answers Pat Shaw's question here, who asked, "What are the best worst heroes and/or cards for UPF?" I mean, that could be a whole podcast itself. I can
answer on cards specifically.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So like any card that says the word "each" on it.
Yep.
If it's in your class, it's going in the deck, right? So like Coax of Commotion is great because each player gets something, and everyone gets to like peer pressure the person playing it into picking the one that they need or something like that. Scar for a Scar, I've never seen it not have go again in UPF because it is actually, it doesn't say each, but it says if an opponent has less life than you. So it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be at the lowest life. You just have to be at a lower life than somebody to play Scar for Scar and give it go again. And another example of each would be like Dimensional Gateway says it deals 1 arcane damage to each opposing hero, which is very convenient in UPF. That card just tripled in value. Another good thing is like voting. So the good deeds don't go unnoticed card is amazing because the way it works and functions in UPF is so the person beside you, you play it, the person beside you is either has to choose gain a life, draw a card, or quicken token, I think. And so you get one of each that is selected, but it doesn't stack, right? So if everyone chooses draw a card, they all three will draw a card, and you, since you played it, will only draw 1 card. You won't draw 3 cards. And so everyone else at the table, other than you, has to, if they want the most value out of it and the least value for you, they all have to work together and choose a similar theme. They can't all pick something different, or you get all 3.
Yeah.
So that card's really good.
Oh yeah.
Also, I guess this just doesn't really count as like heroes, but like another good thing in UPF is like non-meta archetypes. Full like hyperdriver mechanologist, because there's a bunch of hyperdriver themed cards that came out. Full potions merchant, all traps ranger.
Kitty
Like these are,
Katsu.
yeah, absolutely. Like these non-meta archetypes that aren't so great in your more competitive events absolutely have a table of this, and that just makes each game even more wild.
Oh yeah, I mean that's what they're made for. I really I have to believe it. But Capolo, who asks, if you were to design the ultimate chaotic card for UPF, what would it do?
Shoot. So I was thinking. So one thing that would be cool is just a sync blow, but it would have to be an instant, and it only works on somebody else.
Oh,
right?
that'd be cool.
You couldn't use it in CC or Blitz because you'd end up just blocking for your opponent. And so if you had an instant that says prevent the next 4 physical damage, cost 0, is a red, and it's basically just
from
a 4 defense. Yeah, for somebody, but it has to be for somebody else. That'd be a really cool card to have. Another one would be if UPF maintains the rule of you have to target to your right and left. If there was like a ninja instant where you could maintain a combat change and change targets.
Oh, yeah.
That would probably be busted in other scenarios, like maybe how Ninja has to deal with Spectra or whatever like that. Like it might not be legal in other formats, just how it functions. But like if Ninja, because that's Ninja's biggest problem, is it's like because of combo and because of the way they really care about combat chains, you have to break a combat chain in order to target somebody else in UPF. So oftentimes Ninja's just like, you gave me a funny look when I came in today, so I'm killing you first.
Going to you.
Yeah. So something to give Ninjas a little bit more love would be amazing.
That would be cool. Now, finally, Greg, our producer, asks, what's your favorite homebrew / house rule for UPF?
So other than you can attack and target anyone, and you don't need to break the combat chain in order to target someone else, we did a game where we had a landmark just on the field, like library. We did Corsham. Corsham's
nice.
Just on the field, and it just stays there.
Oh, that's
at
neat.
The start of the game, and you just play kind of like Plane Chase in
yeah, I was
Commander.
Just yep.
Yeah, but instead of actually chasing planes and rolling dice or whatever like that, you just play with this interesting on the field buff, and it could be cool. Like if, let's say, you have a UPF group where you play regularly, you could be like, hey guys, this weekend we're going to play, and we're going to play with library just on the field the whole time. Now everyone's incentive to put a bunch of yellow cards in their deck.
Yeah.
For different reasons to get that going. But another thing that we haven't done on the channel that I really want to do is there's a format called Iron Man, which is a draft. And every time a card is put into the graveyard or exiled, it is ripped in half. And it yes, I really want to play that. You do like a if you could do like 2 groups of 4 UPF, and then like the top 2 players move on to another pot of UPF, and then they have to play with the deck that they just played with. And so if you played any cards and they got ripped in half, you couldn't play with them in your deck for the next game. I would love to do something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I would do that once, I think. I don't know, but,
the one time you don't want to pull legendaries.
Yeah. But actually, you know what? Everybody who's listening, comment your favorite homebrew / house rule. One of my favorites is the crazy brew. Like everybody gets crazy brew every turn.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. Stuff like that. Comment it. We want to know and steal.
I want to
them
steal
from
your
you.
ideas. Yes, absolutely, on the same wavelength.
Now, William, this was a lot of fun. I really appreciate you hopping on, giving us your time. You're the best. Please plug everything. We mentioned the YouTube channel. Tell us where you can find you, and thank you, my friend.
So the Table Pit is 5 people now. You can find the Table Pit at the Table Pit. You can find me at Table and Legs. You can find Amy at Amy Chew. You can find Will at Hoodwill, and you can find Ridge at Tuna TCG. That's going to be on most platforms. I think we're all on Twitter, at least. We have whatever. We're on. We have a Discord where we play Casual Fab called Casual Fab, and then we also have a Patreon.com slash the table pit, and then obviously the YouTube channel, but we've been talking about that the whole time.
Cool. Well, everybody, please check that out. You can continue to find me on X or Twitter or whatever you want to call it at Fresh Buds Pod. We're almost at 1,000 followers there. It's kind of fun.
Holy frig.
You know, I was hoping to make it before it changed over to X, but it didn't. Discord, Buds Discord, YouTube. As I mentioned at the top of the show, we crossed 500 subscribers. I'm going to do the cosplay as Levia. I got to start working on it. Maybe I'll try to bring it to Columbus or something like that.
Yes.
And yeah, check it all out. And Bud Rush Bellow on Wednesdays. And food. Tell me some food. What's the last thing you ate locally that was amazing, William?
So if you're going to an event in Roanoke, Virginia, you have to go. There's a small local chain. There's 2 restaurants called Farm Burguesa, where they make like really nice hamburgers, like amazing hamburgers. I always get something called the Macho Cowboy, which is 2 burgers high with onion rings and barbecue sauce, and it is amazing. It is a wonderful flat top grill burger joint, and I love it.
Go there. And
also, I can't tell you how excited I am to get to hang out with Charmer tonight. So I just want to preface that I'm so excited.
Oh, actually,